I look like I'm wearing a BTS tent. That's not what I was going for. Recently, I went to a BTS concert. I went to the fourth and final show that BTS did in my city. All of the t-shirts were sold out. Thankfully, I was able to procure this t-shirt from a rather unscrupulous looking fellow standing outside the gates of the stadium.
You can have this tee for Lincoln 3.
Because I couldn't buy an official concert t-shirt, I didn't really have a problem buying from this man. The only issue was that he only had one size. I mean, I love this shirt, it's really nice, but it is too big. And it is kind of plain. The back, you know, it's cool. I did recently make a video where I turned a bunch of t-shirts that I had into very flowy t-shirts. So today, let's turn my BTS concert tee into a flowy t-shirt.
The original tutorial for this video is by a channel called So Annoying, S-E-W Annoying, and it was really helpful for learning how to do this. But the Cliff Notes version is that basically you cut the sides off your t-shirt and then you sew on rectangles of fabric to create new sleeves and new sides. It's basically a poncho. It's much more flattering than a poncho, but for all intents and purposes, it's a poncho.
Ow! Ow, I just hit my knee. Okay, so for this project, I have the t-shirt, of course. I also have this, which is cotton voile, I think is the name of the fabric. Voile. Voila. I don't know. V-O-I-L-E. I bought this years ago for a different project, which I have not yet made. I've got a lot of it, so I'm not going to use all of it for this. I'm probably going to use like 2.5 yards for this.
Now would be a good time to point out that the original tutorial by So Annoying recommends that you use rayon challis. And I did look for rayon challis, but it was $20 a yard. That decision to not just suck it up and purchase the challis came back to bite me in the ass later.
I don't want to go just with red though, because if I have two big red sleeves, flowy sleeves, it's like, oh, look at that woman. She's a walking red flag, literally. So I have this heat transfer vinyl that I had used for my Outlander bookbinding project. This is just matte heat transfer vinyl. I think what I want to do is just come up with a bunch of little BTS logos, maybe little signatures, something like that, and just try and maximize the amount of space because I only have this much left and I don't want to buy anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out a bunch of little design things that I can use, and then I'm just going to randomly iron them on the fabric. All right, let's cut the sleeves off the shirt. I'm just going to fold it like this because I do want to make it like as straight as possible, and the way to do that is just to fold it over and try and get as close to the seam line of the sleeves as possible. Ooh, I just had an idea. I'm going to iron this too. All right, so I've got some creases ironed in there where the cutting goes. All right, moment of truth. Okay. Okay. Okay, so basically what you're left with is two really long rectangles of fabric. So this fabric is long enough to go from, you know, the edge of my shoulder all the way down to about my elbow, which is what we want. And it extends past just a little bit. That's fine because that gives you plenty for your seam allowance, which you want. Yeah, I gotta iron everything just to make sure it lines up perfectly, or else I'll die. Okay, it's now nighttime, but what I have so far is the new sides attached. Now I can already tell this is way too long. I didn't want to have to cut the bottom, but I'm gonna have to cut the bottom because look at how it is meant to be big. It is meant to be just like an oversized, like huge thing, but it's probably too long.
I look like I belong in a Mexican standoff.
So yeah, definitely too long. it'll look different once I sew up the sides. I'm trying to decide if I want to sew up the sides and then cut off the excess, or if I want to cut off the excess and then sew up the sides. I think I'll cut off the excess, then sew up the sides, then hem everything on the bottom so that they can kind of fold over the seams. And that'll be done for the actual assembly of it. Then I have to do all of the decoration and stuff. But yeah, it is too long, just overall, too big. I look like I'm wearing a tent, a BTS tent. That's not what I was going for. I need to cut off a little bit.
Now, I don't know about you, but I like to listen to YouTube videos while I'm crafting. And you might think that because this is a BTS related video, I'm probably listening to BTS in the background. But no, in fact, I'm listening to other crafting videos. At least I was, until the YouTube autoplay feature delivered up this gem. I can't tell if this is the world's most boring video or if this is the world's most interesting video.
Frequently, they would marry each other's daughters to cement the treaties. My favorite Hittite king, Shupiluliyuma I, because Philistine pottery looks like degenerate Mycenaean.
All right, it is the next day, and I swear my camera is crooked. I might have to move this so that it's like more visible. This is probably better. So the issue that I'm having is that just because of the nature of the fabric, it's not as drapey as I would like. If it was like more like drapey, then it would just hang down really nicely. It's also just because I cut it with the selvage facing, horizontally instead of vertically, so it also just doesn't want to hang quite right. That was my bad. I think what I can do to help this along though is, instead of it having just be two rectangles, I'm going to narrow it down at the bottom and just kind of make it like a trapezoid shape. So actually, let me turn this inside out so I can pin it. Yeah, I did try it on, and it looks, similar on as it does to on the dress form. It's hard for me to pin things while I'm wearing them. It's never fun. I stayed up way too late working on this. Okay, I just... It's not gonna look as drapey as it would once I cut it, just because it is like a bunch of fabric just folded back. I feel like, so I started working on this yesterday. I feel like I've been working on it longer than that, but not because it's actually taken a lot of time, but because like I keep getting interrupted and having to go do other things. I think total I've probably spent like 2 hours on this, but it feels longer because I'm just swamped. All right. Let's cut it and then sew it. Then we can add all of the decoration. Okay, yeah, this is much better. Yeah, this is much better. So instead of it being like straight rectangles, it's just like trapezoids. Yeah, I think if I had used a drapier fabric, like the rayon challis that's so annoying, originally recommended, I probably wouldn't have needed to cut it this shape because it drapes a lot better, but this cotton wool does not drape as well. But the rayon challis was $20 a yard, and where I live, I would have had to order it online and had it shipped to me, and it might not have been what I was looking for anyway, so I already had this fabric. So I think if I do this again with a different shirt or anything like that, I will definitely try and do the challis instead and see how that works, because I do like the original like flowy top design that she had, but this still is very flowy. You could do the front tuck, which I like. I'm a millennial, so I like me a nice French tuck. Yeah, you could do like one of these, wear it. So I'm gonna go finish the seams and then we can start doing the other detailing.
To finish off my seams, I needed to find my overlocker foot, which was hard to do because when I put everything in this sewing box, I just did one of these. And believe it or not, I don't have ADHD. But once I found the foot, I was able to finish off my seams, and then I was ready to move on to the next part of the project.
changed my mind a little bit on this. I don't just have white, I also have red and black. So I'm gonna use all of these. So I think what I'm gonna do is it's gonna be kind of like scattered like BTS iconography, but it's going to continue on to the main shirt as well instead of just being on the red fabric. So it's going to be this, and this all just kind of scattered across.
To make all the iconography that I was going to put on the shirt, I first went and found a bunch of BTS logos and BTS related images, and then I brought them into Adobe Photoshop and turned them into SVG files so that my cutting machine could read them. Unfortunately, I missed a very crucial step that I frequently miss when I am working with heat transfer vinyl that will become apparent to me very soon, and it will completely upend the plan that I had for this shirt entirely. Once I had everything cut out, I began arranging them on the shirt and trying to find a pattern that I liked. This was a little harder than I thought it would be because sometimes it just looked a little bit too busy. And it was around this point that I realized exactly what I had done wrong. Okay, so I forgot to do something very important when I was cutting all this, which was to mirror the images. So now everything is backwards. Thankfully, some of these things are symmetrical, so it doesn't matter. They're all backwards. Some of them, I'm just gonna put them on hoping nobody will notice, like these hearts and the wings logo. This one going vertically, even though the little like downward sloping bit is wrong. I'll use that hoping nobody will notice. But like this one, this is backwards. I can't use it. 7. That's backwards. I can't use it. I keep forgetting that you have to mirror things when you cut them, so I just cut all of this for nothing. Thankfully, all of these like little logos and stuff are fine. But yeah. Damn it. Since there was absolutely nothing I could do at this point because I was out of heat transfer vinyl, I just made do with the images that I had that would work and tried to just make the best of a bad situation. Once I was done ironing on everything I could, the shirt was complete. Here's the big reveal.
Hi, it's me, coming at you from the future. This video has a major update at the end, so just FYI, because I go through this entire project and then decide I want to completely change everything. I'm sure any of you creative types know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, back to the video.
Okay, so here it is, my finished t-shirt. I'm kind of mad that I cut all of these vinyl bits like backwards. I keep forgetting that when you do heat transfer vinyl, you have to mirror the thing that you're cutting so that when you iron it on, it's on the right way. And so that meant that some of the things that I cut, I just simply couldn't use. And then some of the things that are like knowingly on here backwards, but they're like symbols. So you'd have to be a really, really, really die-hard fan of BTS to be like, that's backwards. That, or you're a member of BTS, and then you could look at that and be like, I think that's backwards, but not say anything, probably, I'm guessing. I am very happy with how this turned out. It's nice, it's loose, it's flowy. It's not as drapey as like if I'd used, the rayon challis, but that's good enough. I lied. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't even remotely good enough. So I managed to find a supplier of rayon challis that had it for a reasonable price. I think I paid like $7 for this challis, and it matches the original t-shirt. So I went through and redid everything. Now here's the actual big reveal. Okay, so I did end up pretty much completely redoing this. I mean, it wasn't terrible. What I did was I just cut off the sleeves that I had done and then put on the new ones. These ones are straight up just the rectangles, and as you can see, they flow down, they drape differently, which is a lot nicer. I had put up with the wool one, the cotton wool one, for about 3 weeks,
And I was noticing that I didn't actually wear it all that much. And then when I did wear it, it just was very stiff. Every time I washed it, it would get kind of like stiffer. So the fabric wasn't softening at all. And it really wasn't draping the way that I wanted. And as a result, I wasn't wearing it all that much. So yeah, that's what happened. I did all of that work, realized I'm not wearing it all that much, and then finally found a source of fabric that wasn't too expensive. So I just bought it and I redid it, because sometimes, you know, people will finish projects on YouTube and you don't know what happens to it afterwards. So I think this is a little bit more honest. I did the entire project and then I undid it and redid it because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And that's fine. The first version of this I finished, and I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks I had it, and I'd maybe only worn it once or twice because it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. And this one I finished 3 weeks ago, and I've worn it at least 3 days a week ever since. If you have in mind to do this type of project and you can't find the fabric that you want, wait. That is the best advice I can. This is just not just sewing this particular shirt. This is like general advice. Just wait. If you can't find the materials that you want, just wait. Wait until you have, you know, the materials that you want, and it'll go a lot better. So as I've said before, I'm not cut out for OnlyFans. So if you like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because this is the best I can do. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.